Okay, in this video we're going to look at an older revolver, I say, because it was discontinued in 2004. It's the Ladysmith 65, model 65 revolver, which is a stainless steel 6-shot 357 Magnum revolver. There we go, we made sure it's not loaded. And I guess the pistol did come, the individual that bought this must have bought it new. The pistol comes with this nice case, and inside there's a little bit of history. And all the paperwork, Smith & Wesson warranty here. Smith & Wesson revolver. I guess this instruction, yep, safety and instruction manual, and it shows you basically how to use the gun, maintenance of the gun, and it does list different models, and I believe there's an exploded view also, very interesting, original, little safety thing, ace grips, and the warranty card. So pretty neat when people keep all the stuff together, and I think that's how it came. Probably came in a box that is, here's your warranty card. It does list it in the blue book, this case. So I believe the case came with it, all in one deal. Alright, so we'll set it aside. So what do we have? Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson and Colts, some of the most popular, reliable pistols manufactured in the U.S. You know, they've been copied by foreign countries and similar. More popular than the Ruger. Ruger makes a good revolver, still does. They all still do, Smith & Wesson and that. But this is an older one, K-frame. And this is the Ladysmith, which started off as a .22 revolver, I guess, back in 1903. And this particular one, stainless, 357 mag, single action, double action, single action, fixed sights. And this is a pretty stout gun. The 357 Magnum, I think that's a 3-inch barrel, not quite sure. This is a pretty nice gun, but like I said, they've been discontinued since 2004. Has solid, I guess, rosewood grips that came with it. There is a model that has rubber grips on it, but you know, interesting old gun with the original case and everything else. Very nice. Now what this is, this has been kind of sent to me, friends and that, in this time of crisis. They wanted the gun cleaned and checked out. And basically somebody fired the gun. I kind of did clean some of the grime off, but somebody fired the gun and put it up. And now in this time of crisis they're nervous about it, so I got it in here to do a cleanup, check it out for them and oil it and that basically, and get it cleaned up for them. So when you go to clean a revolver, and this is with just about any of these Smith & Wesson guns, check the gun, make sure it is unloaded. And what I like to do when I clean it, I like to take the cylinder out. So what you do is get the appropriate size screwdriver blade, and you pull this screw out right here, that first one. Oh, a little magnetic. You take this screw out, and once you do that, you come back, depress this, and you should be able to remove your cylinder and that from the frame. Like see here, I clean all this. I don't disassemble it anymore, but you take that out. Clean all this, lubricate it. See, this is all dry, sticky. That cylinder, they haven't cleaned it, so give it a thorough cleaning. Clean out the cylinder, lubricate this crane in that, get this all lubed up, even though it's stainless steel. See, another thing, people get stainless steel guns and they figure they're impervious to the weather or whatever, and then they just don't do maintenance on them. And this one, kind of dirty. Like I said, somebody has fired it and put it up and never cleaned it. I'm gonna get the grips off here. Oh, they're on there. They've never come off. Alright, so I gotta try to pry them off here. Just take my time because I don't think these have ever been removed since the factory. And there you go, little ace symbol on the inside there. And yeah, you see, even though it's stainless, you got rusting up underneath there with the sweat from your hands. And these are on there tight. You don't want to, because it's wood. Oh, that's even worse. So you see, it's important to strip these down. My great uncle was a cop, and he used to pull these apart as a service revolver and clean up under here. And also, I'm going to see if I can get this plate off. And I'm going to look at the action, because that probably should be lubricated. But for most people, if you're not really gun savvy or that, stripping it down this far on any revolver is about where you want to go. Because you want to look for this underlying rust in there. See, these people didn't know that. Okay, and if I didn't pull these grips off and look at it, over the years that would build up, and that's probably why the grips were kind of tough to get off. They're starting to stick. See it up here? So it's a good idea to do this. Then what you do here is you lift this side plate off and just want to look at the action and see what condition it's in. Yeah, that one. Ooh, that one's kind of stuck in there. Might have to get a different blade. Yes, what I had to do is get the blade that fits in there the tightest. Generally, these screws are fairly loose and come out easily. Now, sometimes this plate might want to give you a little bit of a hard time, but you just gently pry that sucker off out of there. Yep. Work that loose. Yeah, work that loose and get it out. Check the inside of the action. Basically, what you would want to do is put a little bit. This is all fairly dry. There ain't no dirt or nothing in there, no grime, so everything looks nice. And be very careful. A little bit of rust and stuff here. What you want to do is you want to put some gauge oil on this. And what is that? You know, what am I saying here? It's like Marble Mystery Oil or the red oil. You know, since this is in good shape, but be careful, don't move this, because I see there's parts already that'll drop out of here if you flip this over. And you got all your little pins and areas there. It should be lubricated somewhat. You know, and what I would do is put like a little drop or a little bit of grease on the pins, like the trigger pin and that. I know it's only on the one side. And then I would use some gauge oil in the action itself. Like I said, a little bit of grease to where it would go on these pins and the holes here where they rotate. And then this red gauge oil, just drop it down into the mechanism. This stuff never like dries out. Everybody's got their own way of doing this. But just to kind of smooth it all out. And not your rem oil or something that over time will get gummy. The red oil won't do that. Then I can just place this thing back in here. Okay, then once we got the side plate back on, reattach these two screws. And this one here, now that I got the action lubricated and that, it was pretty clean in there. Nothing weird going on. Now we got the rust in that. So I'm going to have to go and get some oil on here and probably let this soak for a while. And then just, you know, clean it the best I can without being too aggressive with it and try to get most of the rust in that off. But yeah, see, people don't maintain their guns. And if you look down inside the shroud here, there's little spots. Even though this is stainless steel, this stuff does stain. And obviously the moisture or the finish off of the wood, whatever this is started to create a problem. So I'm just going to go and do a standard cleaning. You know, this here, I would put some of this gauge oil on this, a little on here, after I clean all this off. Maybe even a little grease on this pin. Kind of pump it down in there so it gets on this where it's going to pivot and rotate. Help it a little. Alright, well, I'm going to go and clean it. And just standard cleaning. I'll put oil on this and let it set for a while, and maybe with a little steel wool try to buff all this off before I go on any further. You know, why it's important to maintain your firearms and really disassemble them and clean them. If you look, I got most of this off using 4/0 steel wool and some elbow grease, but even though this is stainless steel, the metal is going to be permanently stained. Fortunately, all of this is on the underside. You can't see it, so cosmetically it's not going to, you know, be seen on the gun. But, you know, if you had staining like that on this gun, it would kind of decrease the value. The under the wood line stuff isn't bad, but still, it did stain the metal somewhat permanently, and that's not going to come out, you know, especially up in here. Like up here, that's where it was bad. This side ain't too terrible. This side will probably clean up to where you won't notice it, but still, you don't want to let it get to that point. And even though it's stainless steel, the gun will rust. Okay, now that I got everything cleaned, I got most of the rust and crap off of the handle. I cleaned out, you know, all the grime, grit, years of it. Get these handles back on. You want to kind of be gentle with them, because once you wear that hole out in the bottom, I had that problem with some larger ones in 357 and 44 Magnum, then they're loose. So very gently apply these back on, trying not to hurt them much. There you go. And then we just put our screw back down in there. Don't overdo it, just make sure it's tight. Check it, nice fit, okay. So now, we have our crane and the other thing here that we did. What I'm going to do is take some of the gear oil, put a couple of drops on this to let it run down into the cylinder, help lubricate it. I'm going to take, where this screw goes in to hold this, there's a little, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little point on there. And that point rides in that groove there. When that cylinder rotates in and out, that's where it rides. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of grease into that. Just a little. So that's got some kind of a lubricant in that groove. So when that pin rides in there, it's got something to go with. And also, I'm going to put a couple of drops of this red oil on here and then slide it all right back down onto the cylinder. Then you just go, stick it in like that. Trying to do this and get it on the camera. There we go. Get all the way in there. All right, there. Got it in. Put our screw in place. Like I said, you don't have to go animal with these. These generally go in fairly easy. Just give them a good turn. That's it. All right. Now we got our gun together. This is nice and lubricated, working fine. Action is nice on this. And our internals are lubricated. So there we go. Got a little bit of oil running out. I'll wipe that off. And now the only thing we have to do is do a final wipe down of the gun, wipe off any smudges of oil or anything, and just as good as new, ready to go back to its home. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. Just something to do while passing time.